Greetings and salutations, friends. This is the Wolf Chahi. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to the video. It's always nice to have you here. I appreciate your support. In today's video, we are going to be looking at my Rune Level 1 Draconic Tree Sentinel fight. It's going to be a little bit long, 40 minutes, but hopefully the things that I show off in this video will be helpful to people who are trying to figure out how to take this guy down, be it at Rune Level 1 or Rune Level 50 or 100 or 150, whatever it may be. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So right out of the gate, 3 attacks with the square off Ash of War just to soften him up a little bit. And I started out, I got singed. I got singed there just a wee bit. I started out my first couple of attempts with some dodge rolls, but then I very quickly had the brainwave. The brainwave that, why am I not trying to parry him? So, luckily it seems my fight with Royal Knight Loretta prepped me for this fight. So, there you go. Nice little parry on the fireball with Herein retaliation. Couple of nice parries, and then I got singed. Another nice parry. Parry that jump attack. Sip a flask. And here comes the lightning. And I got clapped. So, the first thing I'm going to say about this fight, the first thing that I struggled with was the fireball. Because for me, the timing on the fireball was really weird and I had to get used to it. For me, it seemed like you had to parry the fireball way earlier than I wanted to parry it. Way earlier than it seemed like I should parry it. It seemed like you see there, I tried to go for the parry, but it was already too late. I was singed and I was dead. I think singed is an appropriate word because I'm Rune Level 1. I'm just a squishy wuss. And at higher rune levels, with enough points invested in vigor, you probably wouldn't be one shot by that fireball. But I digress. What I was going to say about the fireball and the timing on it, if you're somewhat close to the horse when he spits the fireball, it seems like you have to parry the fireball right when it comes out of his mouth rather than when the fireball reaches you. However, if you're far away, you do want to wait for the fireball to reach you, but the timing is still, for me, it still felt like I needed to parry earlier than I thought I did. That being said, if you can pull off a parry on the fireball and those daggers hit the Draconic Tree Sentinel, they do hefty damage, and it's so nice. The other parryable attack that he does is the jump attack. That was kind of silly right there. I have no idea what my brain was doing at that moment. My potato brain. For some reason, I was still two-handing the sword, and I had not switched to sword and shield. And I tried to parry with my sword, a fireball, and you can clearly see how that worked out. So back in for the fight. Oh, and apparently I was two-handing my dagger and not the sword. I have no idea how that happened. I have no idea what buttons my potato brain was telling my fingers to push at that moment. So one thing I want to say about this fight is this was my first time really learning this enemy's patterns, learning how to dodge and parry effectively the Draconic Tree Sentinel. My previous approaches to killing this enemy, well, my first approach ever was summoning whatever. I don't know if I had Mimic Tear at this point or not, but I likely summoned Mimic Tear or something else. I had my katana, probably didn't have Rivers of Blood yet, but yeah, I just summoned and I probably spanned my unsheath skill with the Uchigatana, which there's nothing wrong with that. It was my first playthrough. I'd never played a Souls game before. Just love watching myself get clapped. So I had never played a Souls game before, and that was my approach to beating it. My second and third playthroughs, my second playthrough was a no summon playthrough where I really decided I was going to science this game and learn how to really play it, learn the enemy's patterns, learn the boss's patterns, learn the dodge timing, all that sort of stuff. And then my third playthrough was Parry Only. Well, for this enemy, I just never had a good experience with this enemy, so my approach to fighting him was, well, first of all, was not to parry, because my thinking was, with my Parry Only run, was that if I couldn't get a riposte, then why bother parrying? And I wasn't really interested in parrying magic. And I also didn't know, for most of my Parry Only run, I didn't know about Carian Retaliation. I just assumed that Carian Retaliation was for parrying magic only. I didn't realize that Carian Retaliation could be used for parrying in melee combat, and I didn't realize what good frames it had for parrying. And then one day, while I was on one of the subreddits for Elden Ring, I was talking with someone about parrying, and they brought up Carian Retaliation, and I thought I'd give it a try, and I immediately fell in love. Regardless, when I got to the second Draconic Tree Sentinel in Crumbling Fire Missoula, right before Malekith, I still didn't bother parrying him, because again, why parry the enemy if you can't get the riposte? It's only in this Rune Level 1 run where I was finally forced to try parrying this guy and parrying Loretta like I did in a previous video. And it wasn't until then that I realized how good parrying magic could be and how good parrying these mounted enemies could be. Even if you can't get a riposte, it still gives you time to get in one or two attacks, which is very good. And as you can see, when I do pull off a parry of his jump attack, right now I think I'm only going in for one attack, but eventually you'll see me getting two attacks in after the parry. I always start this fight out with the 3 square offs just to soften this guy up a little bit. Make my life a little bit easier. There we go, there's that second attack. So in all of my previous attempts, my approach to fighting this guy was to just put on my heaviest armor with max vigor, max poise, and just go in with square off and just keep using square off and tank his hits and get him up against the wall and square off, and then every time he stumbled, sip a flask and then square off some more. Which is a viable strategy, I guess. It worked. But this fight, I quickly learned, was so much more fun. So much more fun using parries. And I wish I had learned this strategy much, much sooner. There's that parry on the jump attack, which is so satisfying to get. I don't know what happened with that parry. The fireball dissolved, but I didn't get the magical daggers that came out to hit him. And that happens a couple of times in this video, and I don't know what's happening there. Where sometimes you just don't get the magic daggers, which is kind of weird. Yeah, I'm not hating on anyone's strategy for playing this game. I'm not one of those gatekeepers that will try to claim there's only one valid strategy to use in beating this game. As far as I'm concerned, if you're using a strategy or you're using a mechanic, rather, that the developers programmed into this game with the intention that you use it, then go for it. Just have fun. That's the main thing. It's your game. Don't listen to what other people say. Just because I'm doing this at Rune Level 1, don't think that you have to do it at Rune Level 1 to be a Chad gamer or something like that. It's all about just playing the game and having fun. So yeah, my first playthrough of Elden Ring was... I had never played a Souls game before. I had no idea what I was doing. I had to look up a lot of guides. I used summons. I used my katanas. And when I got Rivers of Blood, I spammed Rivers of Blood. And that got me through 1.5 playthroughs. And after 1.5 playthroughs of this game, I started to get bored with that strategy, and that was when I decided that I wanted to really science this game and figure it out, and figure out the enemies, figure out the bosses, figure out the patterns, figure out the parrying. But I really struggled with this game in the beginning. I used to rage a lot at this game. So when I finally did learn, when I finally did science this game, and I finally did learn how to beat the enemies, it just became so much more fun. Tried to go in for a little attack there after those first 3 square-offs, just to see if I could do it. It was kind of fun. Mistimed the parry. Got poise broke with the second attack, but still survived somehow. Best time to sip your flasks is right after a parry, or right after a big attack. You certainly don't want to sip the flask during a fireball, or right before a fireball. There we go, singed again. It's a beautiful thing. It's actually kind of funny to me to go back and watch my videos of myself and see some of the ridiculous mistakes I make sometimes in the heat of the moment. Yeah, I used to rage at this game a lot. Especially with my first playthrough. Once I decided to learn how to play this game, one of the first things I had to do, the mindset I had to adopt, was that I was gonna die. And I was going to die a lot. And that was just the reality. And I couldn't let myself get upset about it. I had to take the wise-minded approach and sort of a Zen approach. And that's what I try to do in these fights is whenever I feel myself getting worked up or heated, I try to use meditative techniques of breathing and bringing myself to an awareness of myself and my body and where I'm tense, and taking deep breaths and relaxing and bringing myself to an awareness of the enemy and their attacks, because I find that when I'm messing up, at least for me, when I'm messing up, it seems like I'm messing up because I'm anticipating the enemy's attack rather than responding to it, reacting to it. And that's a very Zen-like, a very mindful approach to playing this game. And I think that's a good bit of advice for anyone who is playing this game and finding it frustrating. I never really realized how long these loading screens were on my PC until I started editing and putting together this video. Oh, I was getting frustrated here. You see those 3 dodges? You can see I was getting frustrated here. I was experiencing this phenomenon that happens to me sometimes, and I think it happens because my emotions start to run high, and I struggle with the dodging, and it feels like I'm pressing the space bar to dodge, and it's not happening. It feels like my inputs are just being eaten. But what I think is happening is, as you can see, I kind of cut the video here and fade out and fade back in because I think I got up and walked away for a few minutes just to cool off because I was getting frustrated with the dodging. What I think is happening is when my adrenaline is high and my emotions are running high, instead of tapping the space bar to roll, to dodge roll, what I'm doing is pressing it and holding it down. And when you press to hold it down, the game thinks you want to run. When you just tap it, it thinks you want to dodge roll. So I kind of get frustrated, I kind of rage about my inputs being eaten, but when I look back on it and think about it with a wise-minded sort of thinking pattern, I realize that it's user error, skill issue, and it's not actually that my inputs are being eaten. Don't know how I didn't take damage there with that attack, especially with the area of effect lightning. There we go. Yep, the timing on that lightning is kind of tight too. You gotta be careful with that. You gotta dodge that lightning right about, kind of right at that moment where he brings his shield down. He raises it up, and then right as he does that little quick little raise and then brings the shield down, that's right when you want to dodge that lightning. Square off. Square off, watch him go down. Square off again. It's so satisfying. There we go again. I don't know how I did not take damage there. That's crazy. And definitely took damage there. Definitely got a little singed again. Man, these loading screens can be painful. I think with subsequent videos I'm gonna try to learn how I can take those out. The only problem is I could take them out easily, but I gotta figure out how to work with the music in the background. It's a beautiful thing. Parry, 2 attacks. Feels good, man. Yeah, the thing about the timing on the fireball is it is dependent on how far away from him you are. And I think that the damage of the fireball is also dependent on your distance, because it seems like sometimes the fireball would one-shot me, but sometimes I would still have a tiny little bit of my HP bar left. So the only thing that I can think of when watching my video playback is that it's based on distance, that the damage is based on distance. Because I don't know what else would be different. Oh, this is good. This is good right here. Yeah, don't dodge to the right. Don't dodge that lightning attack to the right. At least it seems the timing is different if you're dodging to the left or to the right with that lightning attack. So after that moment, I always just dodged to the left. Seems to be the thing to do, the best way to do it anyway. At least for me. Man, I am just so proud of this fight though. I'm so proud of this kill. I'm so proud of myself for learning his moveset, for pulling off these parries, both the melee parries and the magic parries. It just feels so much more satisfying than my previous just go in with bull goat armor and destroy him as best I can while tanking all of his hits. It just feels so much better, so much more satisfying. So much more fun. I really like the Zen approach, the mindful approach to playing this game. It really makes it much more enjoyable than when I used to rage at this game and scream and shout and jump up and down. Literally, I'm not even joking. I'm looking forward to my Draconic Tree Sentinel fight in Crumbling Far Missoula eventually. Right now I am working on Golden Godfrey. It is quite the adventure trying to fight him, because he's another one who can't be parried, and who in the past I've just put on my heaviest armor, my highest poise, and gone in there and just tanked his physical attacks and tried to bully him with square off and get lucky. And there's no such thing as that at Rune Level 1. Not when every attack one-taps you and you're just a squishy wuss. The reason I was forced to learn this parry strategy on this guy is because square off it's so powerful, but it takes so long to pull off, and it's just long enough so that just as you're reaching the end of the attack, if the enemy hasn't been poise broken by the square off, then he's into his next attack already, and you get clapped, and it sucks. It works when you have high vigor, but it doesn't work at Rune Level 1. But it's all for the best anyway, because this is the most fun I have ever had fighting this guy. It's nice that you can block that attack with the shield. really have a much better appreciation for these mounted enemies, the Tree Sentinels and Loretta, now that I have learned their patterns and learned how to fight them. I used to dread fighting these enemies, and I was dreading this fight before I did it. But now it's a completely different story. This fight, defeating the Draconic Tree Sentinel, probably felt just as good as finally learning how to defeat Malenia Parry Only. You'll see at the end of this video, I kind of cut out a little bit of it at the end because after I beat him, I was so excited that I got up out of my chair and I was dancing around the room, and I had to go to each of my kiddos' rooms and tell them about my accomplishment. I was just so excited, and I was gone for the better part of 3 minutes while everything was still recording, so I had to cut that part out because it's literally just a video of my character standing there doing nothing as everything transitions from night to day. But I was really proud of this. This is some really satisfying gameplay, and I'm looking forward to playing Sekiro and maybe even Bloodborne if I can figure it out, because I mainly play on PC, and since Bloodborne is not on PC, obviously, it makes it a little difficult. I wish it would come to PC, it would be nice. I would absolutely give Bloodborne a try if it did. If anybody who is in charge of those decisions ever winds up watching this video, please bring Bloodborne to PC. Another thing I noticed with this fight, this just came to my mind, is that he spams those fireballs a lot less when you're parrying them and he's taking damage. If you're just dodging those fireballs, he'll spam 9 or 10 in a row. It's ridiculous. But if you're parrying them and he starts taking damage, then he switches up his attack. At least that's what it seems. I don't know how these things are programmed. That's just what it seemed like to me. Back into the fray. Run it back, as they say. Never give up, never surrender. I can do this all day. Parrying feels so good. Probably could have parried that, but I wasn't taking any chances at this point. I kind of had my strategy figured out by now, and it was just a matter of pulling it off. It was just a matter of getting everything consistent, tying it all up into a package with a nice little bow. Gosh darn it, but these loading screens. I gotta figure out how to cut them out. Those stones, man. You get stuck on them every single time. At least I did. For some reason, my potato brain couldn't figure out to go around them. But it is kind of a little ridiculous, getting stuck on a toe-high stone. Fear the toe-high stone, let me tell you, man. Probably can parry that attack. But again, I was not taking chances. This kind of makes me think, watching this fight, that maybe I could have parried. Yeah, there you go. Do not sip the flask when he's ready to give you a fireball. You will take that fireball right in your face. But it kind of makes me think, doing this strategy, that maybe I could have parried some of Loretta's magic attacks. But the problem, I did think about that, but the problem with Loretta is she has some magic attacks that are parryable, but they're usually accompanied by those multiple daggers coming at you at the same time. And it seems like you're just not going to parry everything. Or if you get extremely lucky, maybe you'll parry everything all at once, but not likely. At least not that I found. I think the max he ever did was 3 fireballs when taking damage. Here we go. Boom. That beautiful lightning attack. The other thing about this strategy is I'm a new convert to light rolling. With my other 2 playthroughs, I never did the light rolling thing. I only ever did medium rolling because I just love wearing armor, and I love wearing the heaviest armor. So I will do everything I can. I will give myself as much endurance as I need in order to be able to wear the heavy armor and still light roll. But at Rune Level 1, again, you're forced to try a different strategy, and that strategy is light rolling. As you can see here, I was starting to get the idea that if I was going to see this fight to the end, I might need to use a blue flask. And so I swapped the blue flask over to my, what is it, the pouch, the tool pouch, whatever it's called, because it was easier for me to hold E shift and roll the mouse wheel down to use the blue flask, rather than to try to tuck my thumb under and hold the Alt key and roll to the blue flask, then use it, then roll back to the red flask. I just thought it would be easier and quicker that way. That's why I switched the wondrous physic over to the R key and put the blue flask in the tool pouch, if that's what you called it. I'm constantly using the wrong terms for these things in this game. I keep using stagger, for example, when I mean poise break. It's really confusing online when I'm engaging people in conversation on the various Elden Ring subreddits. And I talk about staggering and poise breaking, and I just wind up confusing people because they're just like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about staggering? Are you talking about poise breaking? And I always have to clarify, I mean the thing where you parry the enemy and they crumple to their knees and they start glowing in a certain spot and you can get a critical hit or a riposte, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I don't know why I have a brain block about that. It's just part of the joy of living with the brain that I have. And that's the other thing that I'll say about the way I play this game. You know, when I put these videos out, my attempt is to show people that if I can do it, so can you. You know, because I don't have lizard reflexes. I just watched a video on YouTube of this guy doing level 1 Wretch, Malenia, Parry Only, and he beat her in 6 minutes and didn't take a single hit. And I beat her Parry Only, but it took me like 40 minutes. I was blown away by that. I don't know if my lizard brain will ever get to that point. I do want to try to beat Malenia at Rune Level 1. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out. Because I have a potato brain, I do not have lizard reflexes. So we'll see what happens. But my point being, if I can do it, you can do it too. If I can figure this stuff out, then you can figure it out too. You don't have to be a god gamer to figure this stuff out. And maybe you don't have to be a god gamer to defeat Malenia in 6 minutes, parry only, taking no damage. But I just have to get there and figure it out. I have to get past Golden Godfrey first, which is going to be a challenge in and of itself. Not excited about that fight with Golden Godfrey. I am excited to see if I can pull off a parry-only fight with Morgott. However, that's going to be fun. And maybe I can find a way to make Golden Godfrey fun too. Fun little parries. Take that, Draconic Tree Sentinel, and that one too. Here comes some lightning. Very nice. Boom. Attack, attack, back away. See, there it is again. I successfully parried the fireball, I guess, but I didn't get the blue daggers for whatever reason. So weird, I don't know what does that. Is this my final one? Is this my final attempt? Is this where I kill him? I think it is. Yeah. This is it. There we go. Boom. Boom. Okay, that was the first time he did that attack. So I know this is my final attempt. Another nice little parry. Boom, walk forward. Boom, back away. Fighting him long enough for his lightning to run out, so he's got to recharge it. And then he does this attack. The only time in this whole 40 minutes that he did that attack for some reason. Maybe because I had never got him down to this low health before, I don't know. Ooh, I almost died there. Oh, that was so close. That was almost a dead attempt right there. Here we go. Goodbye, sir. 1. Here we go, and he's already dead. He's already dead. I didn't even know it. I was getting ready for another parry of his jump attack. And then here we go. This is where I had to cut it out because I was running around the house, dancing and rejoicing for 3 minutes. And that's it. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I really appreciate you being here. It's nice. I really hope this video takes off and this channel takes off. And so leave a like and subscribe to support me, guys. Cheers.